Good day, everybody. Welcome to Splints and Whiskey, this awesome podcast where we talk about military medicine, trauma training. We talk about all the special forces that have been in combats in the past, that are currently in combat or training for combat. We talk about how we should get ready for the future, how combat medicine itself has changed based on how kind of dirty some of the conflicts have become. We all know war is war, but when war is different, we need to be even better than we were yesterday, right? And so at Splints and Whiskey, we get together with the best of the best. I have the best job in the world that I'm able to talk to people who are out in the field, who have been in the field, who've worked in other countries, just so that we can all not hear those horrible 5 words. We regret to inform you. These guys are badasses. And I'm so excited because today I'm actually nervous and excited because you're going to fall in love with our guest today. His name is Dean. And Dean has been a dear friend of mine for years, but I'm still learning more about his service because we're friends from other things. And so Dean, I'm going to have you introduce your service to the listeners. So tell them, who you are. And I know some stuff you were special ops, so some stuff you probably can't say, but whatever you feel comfortable, you can. And just kind of walk us through like your resume, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my name is Dean. I'm originally from Carpentersville, Illinois, a little town about 40 miles west of Chicago. I went into the military when I was 17, right out of high school. I just graduated. My birthday fell in September, so I graduated at 17. I joined the Navy initially at 17. I actually finished boot camp before I turned 18, again, being in September. So like most of the males that were being put through the hospital corpsman program, I went to the hospital corpsman program, but I was one of 3 guys selected to go to FMF, Fleet Marine Force. They get all their medical support from the Navy. So I spent 2.5 years, almost 3, with Marine Recon. But when I was in Bangkok, Thailand, at some point, I ran into these guys that I'd heard about vaguely, but man, they were dressed to the hilt. Their hair was all screwed up. They all had beards and really cool uniforms, and those damn berets, those damn berets.
You got one.
That was believe it or not, a picture of that was motivation for me when I was going through the program. But anyway, I did 6 years altogether active duty in the Navy. I did 2.5 years with Recon. I was in Southeast Asia. That was my first time. I was 19 years old when I started treating people with no arms, no legs, blown to bits, and trying to save their lives.
Wow.
When I met these guys in Bangkok, they were called PJs. PJ stands for pararescue jumper. That term is really not used any longer. We're actually known as pararescuemen now. Pararescue basically got its start during World War II. There was a mission in Burma that required a doctor and his assistant to parachute into these guys to help them out. Well, that's basically the bones of it all. But once we went into Vietnam, the profession of being a PJ really was morphed into the critical aspect of battle space.
Yeah.
In your battle space, you must have means of saving people either under direct fire or after the fact. Anyway, when I saw these PJs and got to talking to them, I was like, holy shit, that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I went ahead and I did the rest of my time. I did some time aboard a ship, and then I was in charge of anesthesiology at the Naval Hospital in Portsmouth. And then I got out, and I spent 2 years out, and I had made up my mind that I wanted to be a PJ. So I was 2 years out, going to college full time and working full time for a sheriff's office in Chesapeake. And then 2 years after I got out of the Navy, I went straight into the Air Force with the understanding that I would go to the PJ program, the PJ training program. Now, I will say, however, when it comes to training, all the special operations guys go through some god awful, hellacious stuff to train. Um, our school is referred to as Superman School, uh, and for good reason. Um, the attrition rate is so high in this. It's a 2-year program to become a PJ. It takes about 6 months or so for a SEAL to get his trident, um, a Green Beret to get his infantry badge, and Ranger tab on his uniform. And then you've got a few thousand Marine recon guys, now called Raiders again, their
Yeah.
original World War II term. Um, um, oh, let's see, where was I? I have memory losses quite a bit these days.
Well, you got to Superman school. You went to Superman
Yeah,
school.
yeah, we the school lasts for 2 years,
Yeah.
and the Air Force does a fantastic job of weeding out what we call whiskey deltas. That's the phonetic for weak dick.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
we the weak dicks get selected out pretty quickly, and most people will, when we spend so much time in the pools. They do drown proofing on us. They tie our hands behind our back and our feet together and make us tread water that way. And the instructors come in when you got scuba gear on, and they tear things off. They tie your hoses in knots. They pull your regulator apart. They do anything and everything to make you try to make you panic.
Yeah.
And some guys do, and they're out immediately.
Mhm.
To give you an idea of how high the attrition rate really is in PJ, my class was a perfect example. When I went through the PJ training, that we started off with 126 guys. 2 years later, 8 of us graduated.
Whoa.
That's how hardcore this program training is. And then I spent some time with the Guardian Angel squadrons, which are the ones that do the non super secret stuff. I was in special tactics, which I was in a tier 1 unit, tier 1 squadrons through most of my career, and I was first sergeant for 3 of them. And that's the kind of stuff we embed with SEAL Team 6, all the SEAL teams. We embed with all of the other special operations group. You remember, there's now a Joint Special Operations Command in
Yeah.
our government that oversees all four of the armed services. Now, with that being said, now um, we do tier 1s. We do all the super secret, stupid shit that the military does, our government does.
Mhm.
And I will say real quickly, though, that whether I agreed with the politics as to where I was going and what I was doing, I may not have liked it all the time, but I had to deal with it because my attitude is along with all other PJs. And I will say this, that every single PJ I've ever worked for is a consummate professional.
Yeah.
They're incredibly educated. They're uh, just balls to the wall. We call it high speed, low drag, that we're just hardcore.
Yeah.
And we don't do band-aids and mercurochrome and all that crap for scratches and bruises and gonorrhea.
Yeah.
No, we as PJs, we treat strictly and only the worst of the worst casualties. And it's good for the teams, the SEAL teams, recon, special forces. It's good to have us embedded in there because we pararescue is the one and only. It's the only entity within the DoD, Department of Defense, that our mission is strictly combat search and rescue and hostage rescue. It gets pretty dirty and pretty deep, pretty hardcore. I got hurt 4 times in my career. The last one was the worst. I got blown up by a rocket propelled grenade. I almost lost my right leg, but I didn't. A Navy surgeon up in Wiesbaden saved my leg, and I sent him as a gift to that. Since 2010, I send him a case of Jack Daniels for Christmas. So he was a happy camper. But and we've stayed in touch. But anyway, the training is like any other training in the military. So much of it is mental. It's all mental. It's everything between these ears is what controls my actions.
Mm-hmm.
And every place, every room, every classroom that we ever went to, whether it was at Kirkland Air Force Base in New Mexico or Camp Pendleton, California, Pope Air Base in North Carolina, um, shit, here I go again. I forget again. Where was I? What the hell was I saying?
Well, it's basically that every place that you went in the training, you were talking about how the PJs were the utmost professional people, and that no matter where you were, the training, like the people were that way, whether it was in New Mexico or in at Pendleton or wherever. And I wanted to ask you a question if I could.
Sure.
Because you and I we became friends via other friends, just friends of friends, and we just really thought each other was cool. Both play music, right? Woohoo!
Yee-hoo.
Start a band, baby, yeah. And I knew that you were in the military, but what I fell in love with you is that you put up on your social media these pictures of that are astonishing pictures of your time abroad, wherever you were with your brothers and your sisters, or with, you said you're there to capture, kill or capture, or is that
Exactly.
kill or
Exactly.
capture? And so, I see a lot of pictures that we use in marketing, right? Because I'm in sales, where it's like people in their uniforms and they're walking around with a mannequin. And then I saw your pictures, remember? And I didn't know you that well years ago. And I said, hey man, what'd you do in the military? And can I use your pictures? Because you have the best pictures.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah. And then, but we never like sat and talked about every aspect of your life of being a PJ, but you always send me these great pictures. And then since we've talked about Splints and Whiskey, these people that are on your Facebook were the ones that said, get Dean on your podcast. Look at all those pictures, and he's like the best badass of the whole world. Like, they were like, and people were like, Dean, and I was like, yeah, Dean, picture, So you are very humble, but completely, but you've had a pretty awesome career, and
That I
don't
did.
know. Oh gosh. So I mean, why don't you tell me? Okay, so like when I looked at some of the pictures this week, okay, I looked at some of these pictures, and you had there was 5 people were in a Black Hawk, right?
Right.
And then y'all were going to come in and help in a C-130 or something, or maybe to help rescue.
I'm pretty sure we parachuted in on that mission.
Yeah. Like, tell me about a day in the life of what happens when you get the call that let's say you're in, where did you go? Afghanistan or Iraq?
Well, I did 3 tours in Afghanistan and 4 tours in Iraq. I got hurt in my last tour in Iraq after I was supposed to have been there for the shortest deployment that I had during those 7 years. The shortest deployment I had was 9 months. They averaged 15 months.
Yeah.
And they wonder why PJs go batshit crazy sometimes, which luckily they're such professionals, they know how to deal with it and how to compartmentalize it, as I have. I've gone through stuff that no human being should ever have to experience or see. And to be honest with you, in my 31 years of watching people die, I'm astonished at the capability of the human being to figure out ways to hurt another one, kill another one, maim another one. It just drives me batshit, always has, that people have to be hateful like that to the point where they just have to ethnically cleanse a country,
Yeah.
Religious reasons, very few are border reasons. Everything's religious. Everybody fights over religion and bullshit.
Yeah.
And whether I agree with that shit or not, my purpose is to treat my guys.
Yeah.
The guys that I'm embedded with, they are my primary purpose as a PJ. If someone gets hurt, that's my job. Fix them up, get them back in the fight
Hmm.
if they're able to. Um, and I'm always in the fight. I did a mission in Somalia back in '93 before I was in the Black Hawk Down fiasco. I was in the convoy, but in Somalia, um, which Somalia has a god awful smell, just like Ethiopia. Everything smells dead.
Mm.
It's horrible. It's just horrible. But um, we would set up ambushes on these guys. We did the same thing in Rwanda and what used to be Rhodesia. It's now Zimbabwe.
Hmm.
Um, and we do the same thing there. We were setting up ambushes and cleaning house, so to speak. And to see what these animals did to other people, their own people, for God's sake, chopping off their arms, chopping off their legs, their hands. I've seen them chop off ears and noses. I mean, these people are just fucking, excuse me, they're just brutal. It's brutal. And I've never understood it. But my mission is to save my guys. If I'm out there on a search and rescue mission, I'm tunnel vision. There is nothing that enters my mind during the course of that mission other than the accomplishment of that mission.
Right.
Always the mission, always.
I love that.
Now, what I was going to say about the classrooms, every place I ever had any kind of, like I said, Pope, Kirkland, anyways, as you leave that room or leave that building, right above the door, it's yellow block and with red letters, and it says "Never quit."
Ah,
That motivated me quite a bit, and it motivated a lot of guys. Some of the guys that it worked for some of the guys that I graduated with.
I bet.
And out of the 8 guys that graduated, I graduated second. So
Yeah.
that's not really saying a whole lot when you have 8 guys. So not a big deal. But
Whatever.
I just to work with a PJ is, to me, we all used to say, I can't believe they pay me to do this. All of us are combat divers. We go to all those schools. We're all combat divers. We're all parachutists. That's halo, hey-ho. That's high altitude, low opening, high altitude,
Yes.
high opening, and static jumps. Um, uh, I also have jump master wings from Germany, and
Wow.
I have Australian/British jump wings as well.
Wow.
I've got a pretty substantial number of awards and such that uh, some of them I just don't think I deserve, but the military does their thing. They do what they
Mhm.
want to do. But
Gosh.
some of them I just didn't think I deserved. But that's because I was just doing my job. I don't think I should be awarded just for doing my job.
Well, I
And
think that
that's what
people's,
I'm there for.
well, you're there for, and you're there for us. And I think that we are any living American who lives in freedom while you're saving our lives every day. Yeah, you deserve an award for sure. No question. And wow. I want to ask you about a couple things that you're so smart, but your experience is like, whoa. So when I looked through your pictures, I saw a lot of pictures of you with the bad guys, right? And maybe they were like, you were polite. You were treating them almost like I saw one with a suicide bomber that he was he's dead, I guess. I mean, he was a suicide bomber, but you were there to and to help. If he were not dead, he was dead. Um, there are pictures of y'all walking in the dark with your one brother with his leg, and you're it's medicine the whole time, but it was like brotherhood, but it was also to the enemy. Like I asked you on the phone, I said, do you treat do you have to treat the enemy in war? Like if the enemy's hurt, and you said sometimes that then there are rules with that. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like for a regular person who wouldn't know that?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Thanks.
it's no, no, not at all. The in medicine, it's drilled into us. All PJs, first of all, are all nationally registered shock trauma paramedics.
Hmm.
I've amputated legs with scissors before on an aircraft because there was no viable tissue left. I've done that several times on different limbs, and in 2001, they finally let us start carrying blood products, actual blood, which we could not do before. All we had was FFP, which is fresh frozen plasma, and that doesn't do anything to perfuse
Yeah.
oxygen. Only blood can do that,
Right.
or packed cells. So anyway, we usually carried 4 units of blood on the aircraft as well. The aircraft is it's so far ahead of your basic Black Hawk and the Navy Seahawks, the avionics and all the things, not to mention the in-flight refueling probe on our aircraft. That was my ride to work for 31 years.
Oh,
Okay,
that's cool. That's cool.
that's an MH-60G, and that was my primary ride to work. The other one was a Chinook, which the Chinook is the one with the tandem rotors. They have one
Yeah.
rotor in the front, one in the back. Those could fly up and higher into the mountains. That's why we use those so much in the mountains. The
Yeah.
lower in the valleys and stuff, we'd usually the combat, or excuse me, the Guardian Angel squadrons pick up those missions. So, but I spent most of my time all over Afghanistan and all over Iraq.
Mm.
In fact, I even got jacked back and forth several times where I'd be in Iraq doing something and they needed me in Afghanistan to do another mission. So they'd fly me there, I'd do a mission or two, then fly
Mm.
back to Iraq, get back to what I was doing.
Hmm.
So I I still can't believe I was paid for what I did. If I could change anything, the only thing I would change would be all the deaths of
Yeah.
good, innocent, wonderful people, men and women that I've seen pass away due to war.
Mm.
But on the positive side, however, I spent most of the late '80s and early '90s in Africa. I had the privilege of delivering 6 babies during my time.
Oh, yay.
Yes, yes, that was the joy. Oh my God, you haven't lived until you've delivered a baby.
Oh,
It's the
gosh.
most miraculous, beautiful thing. But I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I was in a village where 2 women, well, one went into labor 2 hours after the other one did.
Oh
So I was
my
pretty
gosh.
busy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was pretty busy. So, but you asked me about how I got hurt. I know you asked me that earlier.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I was embedded with some Marine recon guys, and we were on a hunt, or we were on a capture or kill mission, and it was a little town called Balalach. It's outside of Al Nasiriyah, which is south of Baghdad, and we got into a huge firefight. I mean, just everybody was on the roofs shooting at us, and it was just amazing. Uh, I drug one guy out of the line of fire into an alley, and he was fucked up real bad. He had chest wounds. He had a sucking chest wound on the right side. Anyway, I intubated him. I put a breathing tube down his throat, and we were taking fire. I was in an alleyway, and there's bullets bouncing all over the friggin' place.
Mm.
I put a breathing tube in him, and I started an IV,
Yep.
and then I started breathing for him with the ambu bag that
Hmm.
squeezes air in down the tube.
Yeah.
Um, and then so we had on the stretcher, we had a Marine at each corner of the stretcher, and I was just ambu bagging this guy with one hand and holding up the IV with the other. Well, some lucky towelhead got a lucky shot in and shot an RPG at us, a rocket propelled grenade.
Oh,
And I don't remember hardly anything of what happened next, but according to the AAR, the after action report,
right.
it it exploded about 15 to 18 feet from us. The
Wow.
two Marines on the right side of the stretcher were killed instantly, and me and the other two Marine and the other Marines, we were blown probably 15 feet. Just the concussion, the blast just blew us about 15 feet.
Mm.
Well, I took a bunch of shrapnel in my right hip, my butt. It just destroyed my femur, and my hip joint was completely disintegrated. And they told me that when I got it also blew out my right eardrum. One of the guys told me later that I was crawling around. I crawled over to the Marines that were dead first, trying to see if I could help them.
I bet you were.
And yeah, and I was trying to help guys, but I had a hell of a time standing up. And two Marines finally got to me and took me to the aircraft. And when they got me to the aircraft, one of my buddies who was chief of medicine on that aircraft, he said, "Dean, hurry up, get in here." And no sooner did he say that, and some asshole with an AK-47 took a shot at us, and the bullet hit his hand and almost blew his thumb off.
Oh gosh.
And yeah, this was all told to me. I don't remember this, but supposedly as soon as we realized what was wrong, I reached in my backpack and pulled out my last roll of Curlex and wrapped up his hand real good, and gave him a shot of tetramycin,
Mm-hmm.
and then got him on the aircraft. I was the last one on the aircraft. They said as soon as I got on the aircraft, I passed out.
God,
And I don't remember anything except the next thing was at an Army forward area surgical team. They were telling me I was going to lose my leg. And then they shipped me up to Wiesbaden, Germany. And that Navy surgeon just happened to be in the house. He was due to go home the very next day.
No way.
Yes, this was a hand of God that did this, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he heard about my case, and he asked the two orthopedic guys that were already in the operating room. He asked them if he could sit in or stand in and see if there's anything he could do. Well, he was a vascular surgeon, and he saved my leg.
That's awesome.
And that's why I send him, and he's not an alcoholic by any means, but I do send him a case of Jack Daniels every Christmas as a reminder. He was a lieutenant commander in the Navy at that time, which is the equivalent of a major in the other services.
Mm-hmm.
And when he retired 3 years ago, he retired as a 2-star admiral.
Good for him.
Yeah, he was one of the commanding officers. He was a commanding officer of one of the 2 naval hospitals in Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for him.
Really, really neat guy.
God, I bet. That's crazy. Like when I think about, that's so crazy for me to hear what happens when the medic gets hit. I mean, what happens when when your team of that's crazy, because you had to have those Marines take care of you to get you to I mean, and you're with teams of other people, but y'all were hit. That had to be confusing and weird. I just think that'd be really challenging.
It was very challenging. And once I got through the system in Baghdad and Wiesbaden, I was in Wiesbaden about 2 weeks, and then they flew me over to Walter Reed, and that's when they do the other. I've had 8 surgeries altogether on my leg and hip.
Wow.
And I've got so many scars on my body from the shit that's happened to me. It's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I lost my gallbladder because I never really got shot directly. I mean, I took an AK-47 round that just nicked my tibia on my right leg.
Yeah.
The scar's still there. But anyway, I've been a grenade magnet, I guess, for some reason. Guys that don't like me just throw grenades at me. I thought
you were a chick magnet.
No, not quite. No, just grenades. Unless she has a grenade. She probably does have a grenade. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
She'll stick it down my pants, and that'll really suck.
Yeah. I know. You'll be like, medic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. That's
but
hilarious.
I just I was an E8, a senior master sergeant, and I was a first sergeant for 3 special tactics squadrons. I turned down E9 twice because if I had taken the rank of E9, I would have immediately been promoted to superintendent or chief, as they call them in the wing level. The only an E8 or below can conduct missions. Once you reach E9, you cannot fly missions any longer. You fly a desk. And I was not about to spend the next 4 years, because I wanted to do 35 years.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it. But
I have a question. Let me ask you a question about that. This is crazy. You know, when I talk to guys that have spent the amount of time that you spend in, and those are like my favorite people, you know, like, I mean, I love everybody and I love, you know me, I'm a lover, but but our people, you know, like you say, my guys, and I'm like, yeah, me too. They're like my guys. And so when I talk to people who are die harders, you know, I love it. You know, there's that saying, passion loves company. It's like we all connect when we love it, when we believe in it. Passion loves company. So lately, several of my guy friends are on their last year, that twilight time or whatever, right? So they're like getting ready to how long's the twilight thing? Like 6 months, or where you still have your job, but you're like you're transitioning into retirement. And when you left, I think that with being this major badass who is, you know, on these missions that are intense, and you know where to go and you know what to do and you're good at it and you exceed and you've seen all this stuff and you're really, really somebody major. And then to have to say, oh, now I'm good, now I'm done. Was it hard at the time to say, like, what's my identity? Because I think that's hard. That's got to be hard to say, I've lived my life doing this for my whole entire being for 30 years has been this. Was it hard to transition into regular life being a veteran?
Absolutely. 31 years is a long time. It was my entire adult life. When I got out, I was fighting alcoholism.
You got out in 2010, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was discharged in June of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
I got wounded in November of 09. Mm-hmm. What was the question again?
Like, how what was the transition like? Because I'm seeing my good friends right now are really struggling with that. It's like you're used to going like, here's my name, here's my title, I've been here, I've done this, and now you're like, hey, I'm Dean, just moved back, I just retired, you know, and then you don't feel like you don't. It's like that's got to be hard.
Well, I'll tell you, I was pararescue is not conducive to a good marriage. I've been married 3 times. My third wife was the worst possible. When a guy is a first sergeant for a squadron, the wives have a lot to do with morale of the other wives and staying in touch and making sure that these women and other women are stayed informed of what the fuck we're going on, what we're doing, if we can talk about it. Normally, and this is true, you know, if you hear somebody say, oh, he got killed on a training mission, bullshit. He was killed in action somewhere. They just don't want to say where. But we do lose a lot of guys. You'd be surprised. We actually lose almost as many guys in training accidents as we do in combat.
Well, you train like you fight, right? I mean, you train like you fight.
The old saying is, you train like you fight and you fight like you train. And that's exactly correct.
Well, I feel good. I feel smart since I just said that to the number 2 classmate.
You did good. You're excellent.
I'm gonna go get a beret. No, but
hey, who's interviewing who here?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you know, let me dust off my fake outfit. I'm a poser. I'm a really good poser. No, okay. So you train like you fight. The other night I was looking through a lot of your pictures. I love those pictures. To the listeners, I want the listeners to know that I'm going to put up pictures after this. When you see these pictures, you are going to think that National Geographic lived with Dean for like 80,000 years. I mean, they're the best pictures ever. They're unbelievable. I can't even think of one that's bad. So anyway, and they all I have to pace myself. Okay. When I see them, they're especially this time of this time right now, we're in September. Yeah, we're in September, right after 3 years ago, what just happened and leaving and all that. And then seeing these pictures is just, if you're an American who loves that flag, man, it's hard to look at some of these pictures, but it's so important to look at them, to see what our soldiers and sailors, airmen, men and women in uniform did for us and their spouses and Gold Star families and Blue Star families and et cetera, et cetera. So, and all the K9 Blue Stars and K9 Gold Stars are too, everybody. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, but I saw a picture and you wrote, well, he missed me, but I didn't miss him. It's a picture of you. And there's like
Yeah.
97,000 bullets right all behind you in this wall. Like he really shot a lot. Like,
Yeah. They don't aim. They just stick the gun out there and pull the trigger.
I was like, you're just standing there. And it was like, he was like, he could have hit anything. And it was this. And you just said, well, he missed me, but I didn't miss him.
Yep.
I thought, oh
Yeah.
shit.
I ruined his day, definitely.
Yeah. Wow. So,
Well, some of the things that we do are just, every PJ has the attitude that's absolute hardcore and it's absolutely truthful. A PJ will always tell you, I will gladly sacrifice my life to save another life. That's what we live by. That's why these things we do,
yeah.
that others may live. And that's our motto. And we've got mottos like "We Who Dare," um, um, pararescue, what men dare do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all kinds of cool stuff. But um,
Is it hard to leave? Is it hard to leave that sort of a job? Come back to, to come back, you get back affiliated in America, get a job, living where you live and all that stuff. And you're getting transitioning back into the, just being a veteran, not a civilian, a veteran. Right.
yeah.
Well, but when you see things like, what we're seeing with, Israel and, Gaza and, the Palestinians and Houthis and all this, does that strike up something for you? We also know that, of course, with Ukraine and Russia, do these things strike something up in you that you're like, man, I want to go back? Or are you like, I wish is it something you turn off? Like, how does that make you feel? You can't be there, but are you there?
Yeah, that's a good question. Very good, Liz. That's a good question. Um, well, there are times, there all the time. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think, God, I wish I could do it again. Because I miss it terribly. I miss the camaraderie. Of course, everybody is so close. Everybody, we know each other better than our families know us. We're just that close knit. We train together. We do everything together. We get punished together. We get everything together. And that is the definition of teamwork. And that's what makes our job work, is teamwork. We're all individually trained to take care of some pretty heavy shit, but always nice to have an extra pair of hands or two. And it just helps to have another set of hands to help out. There have been innumerable cases I've done in the aircraft that that were just absolutely insane. I mean, I treated this one guy that ended up to be a special forces medic. He was their special forces medic, and he was on a motorcycle on a mission. They were all on motorcycles, and he hit an IED, and it blew off his left leg above the knee. And plus, he had just scores of other shrapnel all over his body.
Yeah.
Well, when we got him on the aircraft, he was in very, very bad shape. He was, if we hadn't gotten him there in the golden hour, he would have died, no doubt.
Yeah. And
And everybody,
he was the enemy?
no, I'm sorry. No, he wasn't the enemy.
Okay.
But,
his leg blew off. You got him on the aircraft.
Yeah. We had it's a tradition in special operations, that when a critical guy gets put on a helicopter, his teammates take turns going to the helicopter and giving the guy a kiss on the forehead.
Oh.
That is our tradition. When we lose one of our own, we kiss them because we don't know if they're going to live or die. We kiss them and say goodbye. And that's been a long-standing tradition for a long time. And I hate doing that. I really do. And, everybody thinks about SEALs and stuff, but you can see the badge on the beret.
Yeah.
When a PJ is buried, we do the same thing that the SEALs do. We take the badge off our berets and we pound it into the casket. And so if you ever see a guy without one on his beret, then he's been to a funeral recently, and for his own people. And that one picture I sent you of all the guys saluting, one guy was in a flight helmet saluting. That was from a lost PJ that was killed. And those guys firing all the guns, those guys firing the guns in the air. Yeah. That was a command level goodbye ceremony for a CCT that was killed. Wow. That was his 21 gun salute.
Wow.
So, it's I wouldn't change anything, Liz. I really wouldn't. I like the way my life has turned out. And of course, thank God I thought ahead of time when I was younger, and I fell in love with being a PJ immediately. I loved going through the training. I'll admit there were 2 times I almost quit, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. And one was in the pool, and that's where we lose the vast majority of our guys is in the pool, because they do crazy shit to us in the pool. Yeah. And we'll be in the pool at 2:30 in the morning, do calisthenics, 12-mile runs and walks, patient dragging, which each mannequin is 200 pounds. You got to throw these guys over your back, got to carry them, all this stuff. And then you go back into the pool again at about 7 o'clock that evening for another 3 hours of fun and in the sun. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's I'd recommend anyone that's listening to this podcast to get on YouTube and simply type in pararescue, PARA rescue, and you will get all the information you need about PJs.
I think that's the best idea.
Missions we do.
Yeah, pardon? I'm glad you said that. It's the best idea because I work with the military every day, and you and I were talking yesterday, and I said, I swear, some people in the Air Force don't really say they know what PJs do. I mean, and it's not to be an insult. It's just a small elite group, and people do not understand how major it is. I wanted to ask you one more question too.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I could talk to you for 800 years. Luckily, I know you.
It's fine, sweetie. It's okay.
Thank you. If you were in, top shape, PJ today, how do you think combat is different? I'm not sure how much you follow it. Some people that are retired follow it. Okay, so you understand that combat has changed at the trauma.
Yeah.
Everything's changing. So like drones now, it's like, what the hell do we do with these drones? Because we don't have that golden hour anymore, right? We're keeping them for like 72 hours sometimes. What do you think? How do you see? How do we need to adapt? Any suggestions?
Well, yeah, actually, I spent quite a bit of time in and out of Israel and the Middle East, and my personal opinion, whether it bears on my military bearing or not, I believe that Palestine deserves to have their own country. They need to have their own land. That's been a dispute since 1949 when Israel became a country. It's always been an issue, and it's time that we start acting like fucking human beings that are worth a shit, and start doing what needs to be done. Give people their freedom that want freedom. Palestinians, that's all they want is freedom. And there's no reason why the Israelis can't. And I do disagree with. I believe in Palestine. But I've also seen a lot of Hamas, which comes out of Palestine.
Right.
And Hamas is not a good, those are a bunch of badass assholes anyway. But if I had thought about going back, certainly, and if I did, I'd go back to Iraq and start killing those ISIS assholes that are destroying all that cultural stuff in Iraq. My God, they're destroying thousands of years of history there. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd gladly make a guy eat a bullet for doing that shit.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. It's gotten to be, I interviewed a guy who is going to be on the show soon, and he's taking care of both Russian and Ukrainian soldiers.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's strange, right? He's in Georgia, and he's like, Liz, some of the things that we see now, I don't think I can ever not see it. And he's seen some bad shit before, but he's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
But I haven't seen what you've seen. I don't think half the world even understands. To me, Dean, and I said this today to Adam, I told you we have that mutual friend named Adam. And I said to Adam, to me, to talk to someone like you that has done what you've done and had the career that you've done, a very accomplished career, highest of skill sets.
Thank you.
Following your mission all the way through, getting awards for it, staying humble the whole time. But it's still it's amazing to talk to you and for you to be balanced. Like, that is the biggest compliment I could give. And I can only name about 3 people that I've interviewed and worked with that are like that. And you're one of them that have had your type of life, but you still have a balance, man. You still have good friends. You still play the drums. You still talk to your brothers, you still listen and watch. You're engaged. You have a good life, like you're engaged with people. And that's what I mean.
Exactly.
And you have a great life, but there's something about you that's I guess allowed you to compartmentalize it. And I don't know if that's the training or if that's like a higher power or if that's a redemption of some. Yeah, I don't know what that is, right? But I'm glad you have it, because I don't think God makes all of us to be superhuman or Superman school graduates, like Super Dean. I'm gonna call you Super Dean. I don't know if I could unsee that stuff. I'd probably be laying in my bed every night, like having panic attacks or something.
Well, hey, just to let you know, all this titanium and steel in my left leg. One of my best battle buddies, he was a captain in the 82nd Airborne. He was in Baghdad at the same time I was. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we're really close friends, and he calls me Dean 2.0. Yeah,
that's a good name.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. In fact, I'll send you a picture of my X-ray. You'll be pretty impressed.
Please do. You know me, I love that. I love anything you send me. I love. Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay, well, Dean 2.0, as promised. I said to you at the beginning of the podcast, I said that at the end of this, I wanted you to tell. I always ask each person that we interview to leave a thought for the listener. It could be like study and treat your mom nice, or it could be it could be, I don't know, go out and vote. I mean, it could be, or it could be, make sure you always have a tourniquet even when you're not in combat. I mean, whatever it is, right? Some message that you'd like to leave, and I like the message at the top of the door that you said.
Never quit.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
That made a lot of difference to me.
Well, then, because to me, when you said that, I was like, that's his word, right? Never quit.
Never
it's
quit.
Really hard to be a quitter.
It is. It really is, and it's a disappointment to me. I don't like to disappoint myself.
Hmm.
I have the tools now to recognize when I'm doing stupid stuff or when I'm saying stupid stuff, that kind of thing. And I've had a lot of help from people and amongst my friends, my very
Yeah.
close friends, and you as well.
Oh,
And you know, I wish I could do it again. I really do. And but like I said, like I was going to say earlier, when I was younger, I was smart enough to. The military is not required to pay Social Security, but I elected to do that. I paid into Social Security. So when I got out in June of 2010, when I was on active duty, I got standard pay, uh, combat diver pay, parachute pay,
man.
hazardous duty pay, combat pay, combat dive pay, um,
Touch.
and some others. I was making so much money at that time. It was disgusting. Couldn't believe a guy in the military would make that much money. But anyway,
Mhm.
now that I'm retired, I'm in, like you said, I'm enjoying my life now the way I want to, the way I'm so embedded, enmeshed in music.
Yeah.
It's everything to me that means what everything means something with music. You can say so much with music. You can show so many emotions with music. It's just beautiful. I just love it. But with that being said, though, um, I I fight for the guy next to me. I fight for the guy in front of me. I fight for the guy behind me. In fact, two of the pictures that I sent you were actually published in Airman magazine back in the early '90s. One was me squatting over a patient that had been shot in the leg, and you can barely see it, but I'm squatting on top of him,
Yeah.
fighting off the bad guys. That
Yeah.
was one picture, and then that picture of me in the desert that I told you about with the helicopter. That one also. So
One thing I found about all your pictures were that is very true. You, I'd have to scan if there were several people and I'd just scan to find you, but because you weren't like, you were doing something, saving, but in humility, but doing something major, and it was really, really, really cool. Well, I got to tell you, man, um, what's going to happen with this community of people who are telling stories like this is that another PJ is going to go, damn, I knew Dean, and then they're going to go, when are you going to get all the PJs back together, Liz? Right, and then we'll have a PJ party, pajama party, PJ party. No, and maybe down the road someone might say like, oh, we'll have if have someone who's like Mr. Mental Health, that mental health person might say, well, let's go talk to some guys who do mental health. So it's
yeah,
this podcast, what its job is to do is to let others see what we see every day, right?
right,
and
exactly.
and really get to know that, hey, it's not just like daddy has to go away for 9 months while mom has to do everything and he's out playing in the desert.
Yeah,
No, right? And so, or in these days, mommy might be gone on a ship for this amount of time, and daddy's having to do everything. Like, like we're in a stage right now in our lives where it's like we really need. I feel that lay people really do need to realize what freedom is and what it looks like, who it's
and what
hurt,
it costs.
and what it costs. Yes, what it costs. And I thank you for your service, and
Thank
I
you.
thank you for teaching people who listen to this. This is timeless too. So people who listen to this, you're going to spark a conversation with people. You might have some little kids who go, man, I want to wear that beret, right? And that's the gift you have, right? Is to pass it on. So thank you so much for your time, for
You're
your
welcome.
honor, knowledge, all of it, dude, and your friendship.
Oh, I love you, Liz. You
I
know
love
that.
you too, baby. Let's start a band.
All righty, I like your
I
attitude.
do too. Rock on, rock on. Exactly, exactly. All right, Dean. Well, I will see you soon. Have a
I
good
love you too,
night.
sweetie.
Okay. Bye,
Thanks,
Dean.
Liz. Bye-bye, sweetie. Bye.
Bye.